Hello and welcome to Counterpressed on The Ringer and Spotify. I'm with Jessy Humphreys and Becky Taylor-Gill, and we're back in Zurich HQ for the last time.
Yeah, I guess, you won't be here for the episode post-final.
No, I'm going to be waking up in Basel, as Katy Perry once sung.
As winners of the Euros.
We'll get into that shortly. You may see a Spotify video and YouTube viewers. We've now dressed the set with some Madleys because Becky was bitching about Madley so much.
Okay. Now she's cuddling my
Madley. Look what's going on.
I wasn't bitching. I was just saying that she wasn't serving.
Have you changed your mind?
She's comforting me in this final preview episode because I'm scared.
So she's serving a purpose. She's serving a purpose,
but she's not serving.
And these are Madleys. We've got a triplet of Madleys here.
We do have triplet. Jessy went crazy.
Jessy, we went crazy and bought the whole of Migros.
We did buy every
Were they in
Madley
Migros?
available.
Yeah. So you got to go any top tip.
How much were they?
15
£100.
francs.
I thought it was quite a good deal.
That's reasonable.
That's really good.
For a tournament merch.
Yeah.
So
I'm impressed with that.
this is our last Zurich HQ episode. Sad times. Shout out Vision Apartments.
Vision Apartments, we will never forget you.
We no sponsorship deal, no freebies, but they've housed Jessy very well.
For 4 weeks.
Despite the dodgy
That's
artwork.
crazy, because I nearly booked it for my stay and then I saw terrible reviews.
It did
so
have
well
terrible
done.
reviews, but it's been lovely.
Yeah, you were worried, but they delivered the goods.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the Vision Apartments in Basel.
I'm very
Wow.
intrigued with Vision Apartments in Basel as well.
We'll have to
What's
do
going to
it.
happen is Flo's going to get a terrible Vision apartment.
Probably.
It's the one from
After
the
being
reviews.
inspired by mine.
After being influenced. So yes, on today's show, we're of course previewing Sunday's final as England take on Spain. Third major tournament in a row, men's and women's. Strap yourself in, guys. We'll get into it after this. This episode is presented by Pepsi Max. Pepsi Max has always supported both women's and men's football. So to help make sure the next 50 years are as legendary as the last, they've made an inspiring film called Refresh the Game, featuring current stars like Lauren James and Leah Williamson, alongside legends like Pelé. Refresh the Game celebrates the unapologetic challenger spirit and talent of women's football. Watch it now on Pepsi Max channels. Pepsi Max, proud sponsors of the UEFA Women's Euro this summer. So yes, if you include the cursed Euro 2024 final, exactly. If you include,
remember when Cole Palmer scored?
Yeah, and
that might have been the happiest I've been.
And we were so
ever.
back. We were so back for a brief amount of time. So yes, England and Spain have become recent big ops of each other because
I don't know if of each other. Like, they're our biggest op. It's like, do they
No,
care about us?
they do.
Okay,
Especially
fine.
because of Arsenal, Chelsea. Aitana Bonmati gets so rattled by
so
the
true.
concept of English football.
I would completely agree. I think the
And
club
you know what?
rivalries are
She's
strong
so
too.
relatable for that.
Yeah, I guess.
Because don't we all?
I can't stand her.
I think the rivalries we've seen in the Champions League have upped it now.
Also,
Even
yeah.
since 2022 quarter final, I think this is going to be the most intense.
If we beat them in the final after Arsenal beat Barcelona in the Champions League final, like, I think there'll be some Spanish heads on Mars, which will be enjoyable.
The post-match will be an all-timer if
Live stream it for us.
If England do somehow pull off some kind of game management, time-wasting, genius performance. I don't know if I see it happening, but let's preview the game. So, two very different routes, I would say, to this final. England turned up after finishing second in their group, appeared on the so-called easiest side of the draw. England did not make easy work of that. They had a Sweden game in which I think they were just about favourites. Sweden had played well going into that, but because of England's amazing win against them in 2022, the fact that they were holders, everything, they'd been to a final recently and won, and Sweden had more of this narrative of always the bridesmaid, never the bride. England were just about favourites in that game. They go 2-0 down, pull off an insane penalty shootout win, make it through to the semi-finals. We get to the semi-final. England have such a good record against Italy, especially in recent friendly results, which have been 5-1, I think 2-1 was the other one. And and everyone's feeling pretty comfortable. This should be okay. Italy are 1 minute away from pulling off one of the biggest shocks in Euros history. Up pops our saviour, Michelle Adjumand, to take it to extra time. Chloe Kelly scores a rebounded penalty. Couldn't just score the penalty, has to be rebounded. And England have found themselves somehow in the final in Basel, kind of against all odds, I have to say.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like less against all odds, more by using up a million different lives to get there.
Or I like to put it, genie wishes. They just kept rubbing the genie to give them a little bit more, to give them a little bit more luck, and somehow, yeah, they're here.
Yeah, I think the Sweden and Italy games then feel like these bizarre moments where you're swinging from like total despair to total ecstasy. I think the Sweden game in particular, because England sort of have this comeback to 2-2. And again, this is like one of those weird things where you're like trying to assess England as a team throughout this tournament where, you know, towards the end of that Sweden game, they played really well. Like those last 20 minutes, it was like they found another level and they did play well and they deserved the goals they scored. And then you have the penalty shootout, which is just so awful. And like on multiple occasions, you're like, wow, England have got back into this game, but they're going to like totally fuck it still. And then the Italy game, it was just like, woo, like downhill trajectory until suddenly like they went all the way back up again. So it's really bizarre. I kind of can't believe England are here. For Wiegman, like 5 international tournament final in every one she's managed at, asterisking the Olympics. England 3 in a row. I mean, it's just like totally unprecedented. And to that extent, I'm like, well, it doesn't matter how you got here because you got here. But it's kind of crazy, I feel.
Every time I think about how we got here, I am that smoking duck meme. Like, I caught myself doing that.
I need a Serena Wiegman one of those.
I rewatched the penalty shootout like a couple days later, and I found myself just like chuckling to myself, like shaking my head, like how on earth have we got to this final? Like that so many times during this tournament we have been like down and out, and it's just, yeah, when do those lives run out? It's kind of like,
They run out on Sunday.
Yeah, I kind of want us to go 1-0 down in the final, because like that's the only time that I felt that we've like actually come back. Although none of those times, I think maybe this is different from like previous Englands that I have watched, where I've been like, if we've been down, I've been like, okay, like it's fine, like I'm still calm, we're coming back. A bit like a Kate Longhurst situation where she's like, it's all good. But I didn't feel that way in this tournament. I at any point when we've been behind in those games have I been like, it's all good, we're coming back.
The Italy game especially, I thought that really was the moment, especially because the substitutions came so late, and it felt like they weren't impacting the game.
It's like, I don't want to question your methods, because like, yeah, 5 consecutive finals, that's crazy, but also like, has someone got a gun to your head? Like, I will shoot you if you substitute anyone onto this pitch before like 70 minutes. What? Why? I was going insane. She said in her
post-match that she felt like the players she put on were having an impact and playing well and were going to score. I disagree. But again, you sort of said there, Becky, the proof is in the pudding that Serena keeps somehow proving herself right, even though the logic is not logicking. Let's talk about the recent meetings between these two sides. We have to, I'm afraid. So Spain beat England 2-1 in the Nations League in Barcelona. I know from chatting to a lot of people who were there for that game, and it was that weird Nations League that was so close to this tournament. They got a sense that as soon as Spain equalised, because England got an early lead through a good Alessia Russo goal, that the mentality shifted and they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. You wouldn't see that in a major tournament final, and some people were saying to me they feel it hard to read that game because of that.
No one wants to get injured before the Euros. Like, I think no one wants to be like, I'm going to put my body on the line for this game.
There was a level of caution, I think, from both sides.
Yeah, and then you have a really good performance from England at Wembley in the Nations League, a 1-0 win. Lauren James was phenomenal that day. Jess Park was also really good. She gets the goal. Again, it's Nations League. It's hard to read into it, but I do think it was one of the better performances we've seen from Serena Wiegman's team in about 18 months. And then we, of course, have the World Cup final in which Spain win 1-0, England's first World Cup final, and a game that it really felt like England didn't show up in, apart from maybe Mary Earp saving that penalty. We had the Lauren Hemp bar moment, but outside of that, they didn't play particularly well. A great Olga Carmona goal wins it for Spain, and it was a very deflating performance because I think it was the high of getting to the final and the expectation that England could really win it, and they didn't. But I feel this final is very different for me.
You know what we've got here? The underdog.
Exactly. For me,
we don't have
the
that expectations
are so much lower because of what's happened in this tournament. Whereas in the World Cup final, I genuinely went in and thought England can win the World Cup.
Well, and I think England had rocky moments in that World Cup, but they then ended up sort of looking pretty comfortable against Colombia and Australia, even though both teams scored against England.
And they played better than they have at times this tournament.
Whereas Spain sort of ended up in this kind of weird flurry back and forth against Sweden in their semi-final, and they'd obviously had the big defeat to Japan in the group stage, so I think everyone was a bit like, what's going on with this team? There'd obviously been all the off-field drama with Vilda, so I think everyone was also like, you know, what's kind of going on here? I agree. I think going into this game, it's very, very different, and the roles are reversed, and Spain are heavy favourites. And I think it will also be interesting because, you know, we were at Germany-Spain earlier in the week, and you know, Germany massively outnumbered the Germans, maybe unsurprisingly given where we are, but massively outnumbered the Spanish fans in terms of how many people were there and also noise. And having been to Geneva and seen how the England fans outnumbered and outsung the Italy fans, I think we'll have a similar thing happen in Basel. So I think that will be interesting as well, because the World Cup final, because it was in Australia, obviously there were, you know, probably more England fans there, but it felt, I don't know, to me it felt like kind of a neutral ground.
Yeah, it was much. Yeah.
Whereas I
Geneva,
don't think Basel
day,
will feel like that at all.
So funny in Geneva. I walked around all day, like everywhere you look, England fans. I saw like one Italy fan in the day. It was like outside the stadium. It was like a home game. It was crazy, and I imagine that it will be the same for the final. So, like, what's that gonna do?
Yeah, I agree. I think the atmosphere will be in England's favour. It's just about the performance that they can deliver, because we have not seen a consistently good England in a very long time in terms of seeing back-to-back games.
Are we the real Norway? We're gonna crap ourselves.
No, because we actually win.
No, we're not the we're not
like
the real Norway.
The Norway that you think is gonna happen, like in the group stages, I was like, oh, Norway are gonna go all
I'm
the way.
sorry. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have thought that.
I want to pose a question though, because in England's game against Italy, we saw such a fatigued team. That was part of the changes as well. I mean, Lauren James picked up a bit of a knock on her ankle, still TBC about her. My heart wants Wiegman to make some changes to that starting lineup to put on some fresh legs, because everyone looks tired.
Though, is it?
She won't.
But the reality is, and this is where my head comes in and the logic comes in, is that that's not what Sarina Wiegman does. But it does seem critical that England finds some energy here that has been lacking.
I don't think that she needs to change the starting lineup. I think she needs to sub earlier, and obviously that depends on like what is happening in the game. But it's like you're leaving it so late to make a difference, and it's very clear that in the last two games that Chloe Kelly and Michelle Ajman have made a huge difference in coming on. Give them more time to have an impact.
So you're saying keep that starting lineup, but just bring the subs on earlier.
Yeah.
Depending on the game situation, obviously.
I think there are a couple of things. I think firstly, England get an extra day, which has to be a benefit. I think England will be pleased, even though I think they're worse off, but that Spain did have to play 120.
I know, but I feel like having the penalties would have been that extra layer of fatigue. I don't know. England obviously had back-to-back.
Do you think penalties, you're just standing around?
No, but it's the mental
exhaustion.
trauma and exhaustion. But
I think we'd be having a different conversation if it had gone to penalties, because I don't think Spain would have won on penalties. But
okay, well that's just a hypothetical.
That's a hypothetical.
But also England had the unfortunate back-to-back 120 minutes. Spain
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Just
but I'm
that
like,
one game.
you would still feel better that Spain didn't breeze through Germany
Yeah.
and win 3-0. Like, you're like, okay, well, that's something at least. They've also played 120 minutes. I think the thing that I'd be interested in is that centre-back role, because Wiegman said that the reason Morgan started was because England were going to have a lot of the ball, and she felt like Morgan was sort of the better option on the ball there over Carter. It'll be interesting to see. I'm kind of not suspicious of that logic. I think she sort of wanted to start Morgan anyway based on Carter's performances. But it will be interesting to see if that is something she feels differently about if Carter does come back into the team as ostensibly, even though I don't think she's shown it this tournament, someone who is a better 1v1 defender. My concern would be the way Carter's sort of got a bit lost in different games in this tournament feels particularly worrying against a Spain team who are very good at making those little runs through gaps in the defence. So I think that's like the obvious question mark for me. Otherwise, I think it will stay the same.
Do we think Wiegman will decide to play a back five?
No.
You don't think she will?
No.
Absolutely not.
No. Well, I just don't see why.
Well, because I think that is quite a good way to set up defensively against Spain.
I just think if we've not seen it seriously in this tournament, the only times we've seen England sort of switch into that is when they've wanted to have loads of attacking players on the pitch to go for games. So obviously we saw them switch into that against Sweden.
And it would be a different scenario. It's a sitting back five, while they're a back three to push the fullbacks higher. It's a different different setup.
Look, England have beaten Spain this year playing a back four. So I think Wiegman has tape to go back and watch how she did it before. And I think, what we saw before is and this is the concern, is what England did really well is it's this very organised, intense off-the-ball movement and pressure. Can you do that at this point in the tournament when they look really exhausted? But you know what Serena Wiegman's like. I don't think she's going to switch to a back
also,
five now.
you're exhausted, but it's the final. Like, there's something you find another level.
This episode is presented by Pepsi Max. In the last 50 years, the beautiful game has had more than its share of iconic moments, and Pepsi has been at the centre of loads of them with their iconic films. Now, Pepsi Max are doubling down on their support of the women's game in a massive way. Not only are they sponsoring the Women's Euro in 2025, they're also refreshing the game with their star-studded new campaign. It follows today's stars, Lauren James, Leah Williamson, Alexia Putellas, Caroline Graham-Hansen and Farah Jeffrey on a journey through time as they refresh some of Pepsi's most iconic footballing moments, from Pele's debut in the 1970s to Ronaldinho's beachside brilliance. This isn't just nostalgia, it's a statement. With record viewership, women's football is the fastest growing sport on the planet, and Pepsi Max is right there cheering on that growth. Watch the legends meet now on Pepsi Max channels. Pepsi Max, proud sponsors of the UEFA Women's Euro this summer. Becky, I agree with you that you do find another level in a final, and I think that helps when it comes to how England press and defend and try and win back the ball, put pressure on Spain. I think the challenge will be how they look after the ball, and Serena even spoke about it so much after that 2-1 defeat in the Nations League, was that they were really poor on the ball. They didn't look after the ball. And I think there's been a lot of times in this tournament, especially against France, that they showed that again. And I think when you're talking about fatigued players, that comes into it so much. And in that amazing win against Spain in the Nations League at Wembley, Lauren James was that critical ball carrier for England where she could get them out of danger, be that outlet, carry the ball because she's so good at doing that and relieve the pressure. Because we know that Spain will target Keira Walsh and try and shut that down. For most of that game at Wembley, she basically was man-marked by Bonmati. So I think it's going to be a challenge for England when it comes to on-the-ball work. And that's where the changes in the setup, or if there is going to be anything, that has to work.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is against Spain, you always have to play close to a perfect game. It's very similar to when you play against Barcelona, and I think that kind of organisation is really, really crucial. I think England, it's tough because I do feel like watching Spain, you feel like England will get chances, even though they've not necessarily, in the past two games at least, blown teams away in an attacking sense. But still, they've not done badly in terms of scoring. There's only one game this tournament where they've not scored more than one goal, which is obviously the opener against France. So But I think the thing is you can't let Spain sort of end up rattling you.
And I will say, actually, I think there's an exciting opportunity for England in this game, in which what they didn't get the opportunity to really do against Sweden and Italy was attack in transition.
Yes.
And England looked good in transition, and they will have that opportunity against Spain. That's how they got the goal in Barcelona. Russo took her chance. Hasn't quite been her tournament. She will have to take any sniff of a chance on Sunday. But that is something England will feel good about, because if England win the ball and can release well and release quickly, there's space there, and they haven't had that space since France game, Netherlands game, maybe a little bit, but Netherlands kind of tried to play direct on the break as well. So that's a good thing. I'm looking for the positives, guys.
Yeah, I know, I agree. I think, Spain have looked vulnerable in transition. I think Laia Alexandra and Irene Paredes both have mistake in them. They don't necessarily look particularly fast. Russo hasn't had a great tournament, but we know what she can do. And I still have faith in her being able to do that. And yeah, I agree. I think Sweden, because of how early they scored, they obviously were happy to sort of sit back a bit more. Italy, that was kind of their game plan going into anyway.
And Sweden they wanted to attack and transition, so they wanted to bait England.
Yeah, to having the ball. And you're right, it will be the opposite. Spain will have the ball, they'll want the ball, and that space will be there for England. It's just, yeah, I mean, maybe the question comes down to sort of what Becky said, like how much does the final motivate you? Like what physical level can you find that maybe we haven't really felt like England have had so far? And I think, again, it's about being clinical, and this is kind of what's weird about this England team is I'm like, well, they were sort of clinical in the group stages, but then they kind of stopped being clinical, and this is what's annoying about them, because I am like, on their day, England can win this game. Like, I do genuinely believe that. It just feels like you're basically flipping a coin to see whether that day is going to turn up or not. There's just zero consistency with this team.
Yeah, it's felt that the whole tournament's felt like that a little bit, and I have no idea what sort of England performance is going to turn up on Sunday. And that's part of the fun, I guess. And I would say we all are going in with quite low expectations, and maybe that's quite good.
I say right now, I'm probably got low expectations.
When I get to Basel,
I'll wake up on Sunday and I'll be like, it's fucking coming home. Like, if we're going to win it. And I think you have to be like that to enjoy all of the excitement of it. But right now I'm terrified. That's why I'm hugging madly.
It will make me feel better that against Sweden and Italy I went in so confident, and then I was ready to jump out off the press box balcony. Jessy and I were both ready to jump off. So I think this game I'll feel better, because I will go in thinking what will be will be. Spain are the world champions. They're the best team in the world, in my opinion, even though I think the FIFA rankings still have USA is number one or something bonkers. But anyway,
don't forget, the USA would have won this tournament. Despite the fact they didn't win that one where they did play against all the European teams.
Anyway, should we leave it there, guys?
Sure.
Well, we have to ponder what is going to happen.
I'm going to go and walk around rainy Zurich, just like...
Get some fresh air.
No, just...
I'm excited. I think the atmosphere is going to be fun.
No.
I think it's going to be a great game, and again...
It's so fun. I know you're not going to be here, sorry. But, like, it's just also so fun, like, people coming.
There were multiple times where Jessy thought you were going home.
I was going home and I made it. I've made it to the end.
So many times this apartment was about to be cancelled and you were on the next flight home. And we're still here.
I'm here.
We're still here.
Maybe I will just never go home. I mean, I have a flight booked for Monday, but maybe I'll just stay in an apartment.
You're just living in Zurich now forever.
Yeah.
Anyone who's coming out, we'll see you in Basel. If you're going to be in London, whatever, watch party. If you're going to be in Manchester, Sheffield, I'm just saying cities now. Birmingham.
Give us a little, like...
Norwich.
A little rousing speech.
Ipswich.
They'll be watching in Norwich and Ipswich.
Cornwall, Devon, wherever you are, guys, enjoy it.
Places. Come on, Jesus
Liverpool.
Christ.
I said Manchester. Liverpool, Newcastle, Southend. I'm going back down south. Yeah. Brighton, Worthing, everywhere around England. Enjoy it. Get some people together and just try and enjoy it, guys. We will be reporting back after the game. Who knows what sort of state we'll be in, but we'll see you then.